Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Dan McDermott. A special welcome to our visitors from Huffington Post, from Google+, from Justin.tv, Blog Talk Radio, and iTunes. I'm Dan McDermott, and this is Google+ Week for September 9th, 2011. It's our 7th episode. We have a number of callers on the line. We've got, let's see here, we've got Anthony Klauser. We have Brad. How do you pronounce your last name? Is it Chasenor or Chasenori? How do you pronounce it, Brad?
Chase. Well, I don't really say my last name in the show. I just say Brad from Tech Webcast. I don't really say my last name in the podcast.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Brad from Tech Webcast.
Yep.
And then Tristan Gilbert's with us. Bowie is going to be joining us a little bit later, hopefully. And then we've got Scott Swain, and we've got Prisoner coming in just a bit. And also, from down under, we've got Jacob Jones. And I just discovered that it is in fact 12 hours. I guess you were right now. It's 8 o'clock Eastern here, so it's 10 a.m. in Australia, right, Brad?
That's correct. Yep, that's correct.
Okay. All right. Well, let's go ahead. We've got a number of things on my Google Plus page, which is gplus.to/McDermott. We've got a document which is publicly editable by anyone, anonymously or otherwise, where you get to list the topics that we talk about during the show. And the first one here is the iOS app is updated. So let me go ahead and ask Brad. You're using the app, so give me some advice or some insight and how you like it so far.
Well, okay. Well, it's been updated. You can actually share the post now. You can actually reshare posts when you're on the phone. You can edit comments. What else is there? What else can you do? Let's open up the post. You can actually, it's been updated pretty good. Notifications comes up. The app just runs really fast and really smooth. And it's a great update from Google+.
Awesome. We got that app first. I think this is one of the few things that the Android app gets updated first. And then the Apple app. So we get a little revenge, I guess, because normally they do Apple first and then Android. But, of course, Google's going to take care of Android first. We got the sharing ability. What do you wish that it did that you can't do?
I wish it could do the Hangout on the phone. And I don't see why that would be so hard to do, because I think it would be pretty easy to do. Do you reckon or not?
Yeah, I'm not sure why, because they have the Huddle, which is only mobile, and then the Hangout, which is only desktop. And I know that Bowie did a post, Bowie in Vancouver, and maybe you can give us an update. They had an earthquake today, a 6.7 earthquake in Vancouver. But he said he came up with some kind of thing where you use, I guess, like is it Camtastic or one of those things, and you can set it. It's kind of complicated and crazy, and nobody would do it, but it is a way to get an end run. By doing some kind of, like have Skype and it's capturing from your screen, then you're just doing a Skype call to your home computer, and but it sounds like something only Bowie would come up with, and it would work with some issues. So, but generally you like it. I think there's some things. There was an interesting poll I saw that said, what are some things that you would like to see on Plus that are not currently on Plus? And I said search was something that I thought was neat. Would be neat to be able to search. I like that on mobile. Do you have the on the new Apple app? Can you look for posts that are nearby your GPS location, Brad?
Yep. Sure can, mate. Sure can.
Yeah,
in the application.
That's neat, and I don't think you can't do that on the desktop, correct?
I don't think you can. No, you can. You can add a location, but that's about it on the desktop version. Yeah,
because I think if I look at my stream, there's no option for that. So it is different. It's a different experience, mobile. It's still not as good, but there's some neat things you can do. Have you gotten into the Huddle at all? Let me ask. Let me ask Anthony. Anthony, do you use the Huddles or the Hangouts at all?
I occasionally use it. There's a subgroup of my friends that like to use it occasionally, but because you can only use it on an Android, I think you can use it on iOS now. I don't know because I don't have an iPhone, but
I think you can Huddle.
Because it's so limited to a mobile platform, kind of restrictive in that sense.
Yeah, I agree with you there. And Tristan, do you use Hangouts sometimes, right? But not Huddles, I think, when we last asked you this?
I started using Huddles now lately, but only like one-on-one with one other person. I haven't really had a group chat on it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's kind of is it Scott? Is it gimmicky, or is there any practical use?
I haven't tried it yet.
Okay. And I caught Scott off guard, I think. What about Jacob Jones? Do you huddle or hang out at all?
I was just in the hangout with Brad.
Oh, okay. I've met some neat people. I've met some folks that, and we had on the show. We had the folks who have started the longest, and I don't know if it's still going. I hope it's going. But they had done it since early on, and with the blessing of Google, and they kept the thing going. And they had, when they were on, it was cool because they said, "Well, we have to go now. We're getting ready to do a rock concert in the Hangout. And they're all going to play and try to do a song together." So, God bless them for trying. I can't imagine with the delay how you do that, but good for them. Okay,
Definitely.
so the next thing here, let's see what we got here. This is kind of just a silly, funny thing. You can't plus. Where is it? You cannot plus one. The new You can't. There's a new Facebook like button extension on Google Chrome in the web store, and you can't plus one it. If you try, it gives you an error. It just says you can't. I don't know. Does anyone see that? I'm not sure who put this in the topic list. Probably that might have been Prisoner as well.
I read that real quick. I read about that real quick after I saw it in the document. It seems kind of, insignificant because it deals with an extension that gives you the plus one capability. So it sounds more like something's being broken from what I was reading in the blog post. Yeah,
I would think so. This is Tristan, right?
No, this is Anthony.
Oh, Anthony, I'm sorry, because now I'm normally really good at hearing, and because I'm a singer, and so I have good ear, but I'm still, some of your voices I haven't placed yet, especially when you all start to argue with each other, and you're going back and forth. I've really got to be good to click on the right picture of who's talking, so somebody else won't be blamed for someone else's argument. Yeah, I thought it was just kind of a silly little story, kind of interesting. It's fun. I would agree, it's probably an error. I don't think it's an intentional thing. Just like the big thing that when they said Facebook, there was that video that said that if you posted a Google Plus link, that it wouldn't spread out to all your friends, and they did a test of that, and I think that one of the Google principals actually talked to Mark Zuckerberg about it. And that he said it was a spam thing because they were getting so many things that just it was an automatic bot kicking in, and that it wasn't intentional, and that they didn't mean to do it. So I take them at their word. All right, so the next thing, what about the brands? Who wants to talk about the brand pages?
Are you talking about the Spike or the branded pages?
The branded well, one of these. Let's see, the branded pages with the logos, I guess. You can see them. What do we care about that? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, is there, Brad? Letting Ford Motor Company or Disney be on here?
I don't see the problem. No, I don't see the problem with it.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, you may want to have a personal page and one for your show, right? Your tech webcast. You may end up wanting to have a separate one for your show. Yep,
which I probably will one day. I probably will actually do that, which I probably will, and which that will come in handy. I'm just looking at the new feature it says I'm looking at the G Plus mock-ups of the photos. Apparently they're doing an update on Google Plus. Apparently they'll be adding Facebook as well to it, some sort of Facebook tab on the left-hand side. I'll just put a link in the chat for you there, Dan.
Where is that in our show notes here?
No, in the Justin TV chat there.
Oh. Okay, I'm sorry. Let me look.
Yes.
Okay, I'm looking here. What these are G Plus mock-ups? Are these real in test mode, or what are these?
I'm not sure. That just says screen mock-up showing a peek of a possible solution to some of the G Plus features. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's real or not, but yeah, this is just some screenshots of there.
Most of the folks who watch the show will not don't watch it live; they'll watch it afterward. And so, tell me about that. Is it what do you think? What's missing? Who wants to chime in on this? Go ahead, Brad first. What's missing from Plus that we need quick? Like next week, we need it.
What's missing? What we need? Well, I think we need some sort of Facebook add-on in Google Plus, so you can actually do a post from Google Plus, and then it goes into Facebook and then Twitter, all in one sort of add-on thing. Personally,
right.
But
yeah, I find that I am. I find I'm copying and pasting. You know, when I want to whore out my Facebook friends or my Twitter followers, you know, I have to copy and paste it, and it's kind of a drag. But there could be that's probably could be more of a Chrome extension, right? Rather than a built-in feature. Either way it would work, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon it would work. Yep, definitely.
He's not Scott. Tell me, what do you think is missing? What would you like to see? You know, if you had a team at your disposal and you got to say, you know, I'm going to get these guys to do this next week, what would it be?
Two things. You mentioned you mentioned search. I would add that, and the other thing is filters, where you could filter whatever stream that you happen to be looking at, like whatever circle. If you can add an additional filter, like minus dog photos, or searching or add the keywords that you do want to search for, like something you want to see or not see based on keywords. I would love that.
I'd love to be able to search for people too, you know, like who's local. I can do it with Google. I can say site:+.google.com and then put in quotes, you know, Front Royal or Lynchburg or Winchester or whatever area, and then you'll find if they've ever mentioned it or on their profile. What do you think, Anthony? What would you like to see in Plus if you could put a team together and spring them into action and say, I want this in a week? What would be your big priority?
I don't know. Gee, you got me on that one. I don't know if there's anything specific that I'm missing right now, to be honest.
Hey, Dan.
Yeah, who's this?
It's Scott.
Go ahead, Scott.
In the chat room, I posted a link to an image that shows exactly what I'm talking about, like what I would like to see there as far as like a new feature.
Okay.
I got a couple ideas.
You're saying like a filter. I've got to get. Yeah, I'm not sure I follow. Why don't you explain for folks who can't see the picture? Go ahead and explain what you're talking about.
Okay. Let me turn down the. Okay. Yeah. Well, because it's hard to do with words, but basically, if you're looking at your stream and you want to search whatever stream for a certain topic or person's name or your own name or anything, you just add that as a filter to that stream. Or if you want to leave out any posts that mention something, so you can put a minus Apple or minus Obama or whatever. If there's a whole bunch of talk about something you don't want to hear about.
I think a lot of that, though, isn't that just an end run around the point of the circles? You know, like, but I guess it's easier. I guess the whole point of Plus is you've got your circles, and you can put like tech people or people who are in your knitting club or the swim team enthusiasts or whatever the niche is. Like I have a show prep, a circle, influencers circle. I have an evil Canadian circle, which of course has only one person in it, and that's Bowie. But let me ask, Let me ask Jacob. Jacob, if you were in charge of a team at Google and you had to rush a new feature out in 1 week, what would you do?
A couple features: the kicking feature and a calendar feature.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Good
That's
answer,
interesting.
Dave.
Yeah. Calendar. Elaborate on that. You mean like to be able to have events, or just a personal calendar, or
like blog TV.
Or are we going to
Like
populate
blog TV, basically.
or we could have we could populate our stream with, it's Scott Swain's birthday today. Everyone say hello to Scott, Scott, and then you have. I hate that, man. I mean, I appreciate the sentiment, but then like your whole birthday, you instead of enjoying your birthday, you have to spend hours thanking everyone for saying happy birthday. When you should be celebrating, right? I don't know. Tristan, I don't know if did I ask you this yet, Tristan Gilbert?
No, you did.
What do you think?
You're
in charge of a team. Go ahead.
Push mobile hangouts onto the tablet and Android phones and iPhones, of course. And another thing would be try to merge Hangouts with Google Talks. That's the main reason I don't use Hangouts, or not Hangouts, rather huddles. I mean, that's the main reason I don't really use huddles that much is because I already have Google Talk and all my friends are on that instead.
Yeah, I don't know what is the. I don't know if huddles have turned out to be as hot as they thought. I mean, I could see if you were collaborating, like say a team at work or what have you, but it's not really as usable if it's only mobile. And I don't see why it would only be mobile. I'm not sure what limitation you would have that they're trying to prevent by making it mobile only, but it's kind of not. It's not really that useful. Like you couldn't really use it in a work environment if it's only for mobile, right?
Because Google Talk is cross-platform and it has the same functionality as huddles.
Right, that's the big advantage. I can, you can go in the bathroom and you're chatting or whatever, and then go, you're sit down at your desktop and you're continuing the conversation. So Google Talk that sold it on me. And this is another thing that was so genius about Plus is because it ties all these services together like Picasa and Gmail, which a lot of folks had never used. I never really used it. I think I had a Gmail account back in the day, but I've never used it until I had to, and now I love it. And I haven't used Picasa yet, really, but that's one of the big things that Plus is. It's a big advantage for Google, and that it's all of these disparate features they're all being tied together.
Another thing is that the desktop version of Plus integrates Google Talk. And I never got that either, but it doesn't have huddles.
Right.
I also think, Dan. Also,
yeah, go ahead,
hey,
Brad.
Dan, I also want to add in. I really hope Apple will add an iPad version up for Google Plus as well. Because I'm not really into the web version of the iPad for
isn't
Google Plus.
iOS? I mean, isn't you can't use the one that's on your iPhone on the iPad?
No, it only goes into onto an iPhone version.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It doesn't look very good on the iPad.
Oh yeah, if you have to actually use the browser, that sucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you can't add photos and stuff, that sort of thing.
All right, I see a comment here. A Hangout will be a challenge if it's video chat in the chat room. A Hangout will be a challenge if it's a video chat because the camera on my phone is on the back of my phone. I tried a video Skype session once on my Android phone. I can see the people I'm calling, but the people I'm watching me have to watch the floor or whatever my phone is pointing at. Yeah, that's one thing. I can't, like, I've got a...
Mirror. Get a mirror and point your phone in front of it. That's how I fixed that problem.
That's what Tom did for one of his MySpace pictures.
That's what I did. I just set a mirror on my desk.
On my phone, where is it here? My cool new Motorola Photon. It's got the front facing and the rear facing cameras, but I can't. I guess it's app dependent. Like I can't if I'm trying to stream live for Justin TV, it'll only use the front camera. But it's really snazzy. But I wish it would. I mean, it only uses the rear camera. I wish I could switch so I could say, okay, I'm standing in front of the burning building, and and now let's look at the firemen as they put out the fire, and then switch, and then, you know what I mean? Without having to, like, okay, everybody, if I wanted to actually narrate something. But I guess I could just hold it up and describe it. I just wouldn't get any FaceTime, right? But that's fine. All right, let's talk about this whole Google is recommending some high-profile names. And I don't know, one of the interesting things I saw was from Robert Scoble, and I'd love to have him on the show. He actually just circled me. I was all excited. But I'd love to have him on the show at some point. But he said he said he'd like Google to take him off the list. Brad, I'm muting you just for a sec because I'm getting some background noise, but I'm going to unmute you in a sec. But he said that he would like for Google to take him off the list of recommended users, and he had a elaborate reasoning. He said, if I don't want just Joe's six-pack to circle me because they saw me on some list and they think I'm some tech celebrity. I want people to find me because they find a post that's interesting, or a friend of theirs who is into tech stuff has something or recommends them, and then he gets somebody who's going to be interested in his very prolific posts about technology, and that made it. I actually plus one that because, but he, and he's got 100 and some thousand people who follow him on here, which is he's one of the top ones, right? And I don't know what do you think about? Let me go back to Anthony Klauser. What do you think, Anthony, about this whole notion of if you're a big deal, then you're going to get even bigger because Google's going to recommend that people follow you because you're already so important and famous and noteworthy, and other folks, don't make the list. I mean, is this just the pecking order and the haves and the have-nots? Is it a good thing because it's relevant, or what do you think, Anthony?
I think you say it very well when you say it's just the pecking order and it's the haves and have-nots. The famous people, generally speaking, are just going to become, even more famous. And as much as it might stink or what have you, in order to become famous, you have to, jump outside of the pack. And I don't think that this is going to hamper other people from becoming popular on Google Plus, because other people are being featured that already have large followings. I think basically it just gives people that are new to Google Plus a good starting point for people to follow, because that might actually be a problem with Google Plus, is because you don't necessarily have your friends on the service yet. You don't have anyone to follow, so you don't use Google Plus at all. Right.
Let me bring in Jacob Jones from Australia. Jacob, what do you think about? Do you think you need a list of prominent people? I mean, I could see it being useful. What do you think about that whole notion?
Oh, one thing, I'm not from Australia. I'm from Florida.
Oh, well, that's close. At least it's south, right? I'm sorry. He was on the phone with Brad. Brad does his show. When I get Brad on a sec, I'll get him to mention his URL so we can get some folks more folks to watch. I actually listened to his show from last week, but he's in Australia, and that's where his show's out of. But Jacob, what do you think? Is that helpful to you, or is this silly?
Silly.
Okay. What do you think, Brad? And before you answer, Brad, tell us.
Sure.
What's the easiest way for folks to find your show? Because I really enjoy it. You start out, it's got a news, it's got like a news rundown, and then you have interesting people. I think I'm going to be on it next week, right?
Yeah, I think that is correct. You're on next week, mate. Yep, that's right. Yeah, you're on next week.
All the good guests canceled, and so I'm filling in for somebody who's good, right?
Definitely, mate. Definitely. Now, we've actually had Robert Scoble on before. He's a great guy to chat to. We've had Kelly Lewis on. We've had some really cool tech people on. You can find the podcast on iTunes. Just do a search for Tech Webcast, or go to techwebcast.info to listen to the show from there. And recommend it if anyone is interested.
Is it streamed live when it first is done, and then it's on demand?
We did do that at one stage, but we decided to stop that because we weren't getting many viewers. So we just decided just to record it over Skype and then upload it to Podomatic and the website.
Okay, cool. What time do you normally do it? Because you never told me what day and time I'm supposed to.
We do it today at 1 p.m. my time. So the time right now where I am is 10:27 a.m. So in a couple of hours we do it. So yeah.
So about 11 a.m. my time. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so it would be. So you want me?
Yeah. It'd be 1 p.m. my time.
Yeah.
1
so
p.m. my
11
time. So it'd be a couple of.
Or no, it's
so
11.
2 hours.
No, it's 11 at night my time. Thursday night.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Okay.
No, Friday night your time. Friday.
No, I'm behind you. If it's Friday daytime, then it would be Thursday night, 11 p.m. would be 11.
No.
God.
It'd be Friday night for you. Friday night for you at 1 p.m. at 11 p.m. and Saturday 1 p.m. for me.
Right now,
we record the podcast.
I need to calculate. Right now, it's 10:30 p.m. or 10:30 a.m. your time.
Yeah, Saturday. Yep.
Oh, but you record it Saturday.
Yes, we do at 1 p.m.
Okay. So yeah, at 11 p.m. my time, Friday night.
That's it.
All right, cool. All right, that works. Now we figured it out. All right. So what do you think about what do you think about this? I could see it being helpful. I could see it rewarding folks who are already popular, and maybe folks who aren't on the list will be jealous. But I think that's just it's normal because don't we still have the problem where a lot of folks aren't using it and don't think anyone's using it, and it's still kind of a lot of folks. I found a lot of the folks from Facebook came on, tried it out, they have their profile up. And then they're not using it, right? They used it a couple times, and basically it's back to us tech geeks talking about Google Plus and a few funny cat pictures mixed in between. I mean, am I right on that?
Yeah, you're exactly right there on that, mate. Exactly right.
I mean, it's great.
Exactly right.
It's like all the posts are interesting to me. You know, it's mainly men posting. The women posts are great. But they're few and far between. It's mainly men talking about news and politics and tech, mainly tech. So I love it.
Yep. Same. I agree with that. But to be honest with you, mate, it is getting beyond the joke with all these. Don't get me wrong, cats are great, but we do see a lot of cat stuff on there, and I suppose you do have a right to post whatever you want on there, I suppose. But I don't know.
It's a democracy. I think Prisoner's calling in. Let me check. Is this Alan? Is this Prisoner?
Yes, it is. Good evening.
Man, where you been all my life? We hit all your topics and you weren't here. But he had.
That's life.
He had a hot date with his 3-year-old, and they were having fun. So, good for you. What do you think about this? We kind of hit on it briefly last week, but what do you think after a week or two of the recommended list? Did you see Scoble's post where he said, I'd rather they not even put me on there? What do you think about the whole thing?
I guess my feeling on the list is, so what? Google's, really, Google's giving new users a bunch of names to possibly follow. Okay, sure. So what? My real thoughts are twofold. And I think the important issue that a lot of people who are talking about these lists are missing. The first is, why is there a list at all? Why is Google suggesting a list at all? And I think the answer to that is there's a lot of people saying, well, when you first come to Google Plus, you're kind of not seeing anything, and it looks like there's nothing going on. And if you recommend some names, then they're going to get the impression that, hey, something's going on. I think that's interesting. I think the question there is, though, are they really getting any new users who have that feeling? Why are people coming to Google Plus? Why would anyone come to Google Plus? And until they answer that question, I don't think they should bother with a list. I think they've got bigger issues to deal with.
Right.
I think the second issue, and this is one that I touched on in a fairly long post I made this week, is, I don't care about the list. I think that my biggest concern is that the way they're doing it basically presenting it as another page, isn't helping people understand how to do things in Plus. So a good way to do it would have been for when new users come in to say, hey, if you look over here on the side, you'll see a bunch of sparks, and we've got a spark just for new users. So click on that spark, and it teaches you what a spark is and how to use sparks. And, as part of it, it may give you a list of recommended users to take a look at. That's a very kind of tutorial way to get to kill two birds with one stone. It teaches people how to use the system, and it teaches them what they can do with the system at the same time. Another suggestion that I made in that post was, okay, maybe everyone who automatically joins automatically gets somebody like Natalie Villanova added to their default add to a circle. And the first message they get is a very personal-sounding message from Natalie, welcoming them to the system, pointing out a couple of things they may be interested in, telling them a little bit about how it might be different from other systems they've used, and just kind of making them realize, hey, there's a person here. I'm here to connect with people who are talking to me, and I can talk. And I think that's kind of a welcoming thing. It teaches them about circles. It teaches them they're talking to people. I think those are important things for them to learn. I think just giving them a list and saying, hey, here are people, I don't think that does anything.
I've picked up, when we first did it, it was, what we all, I guess jokingly, but not really, a sausage factory. It was all men. And then it was all tech geeks. And then finally we were excited because, it went viral, sort of. And some of our Facebook normal people who aren't tech geeks were signing up, and they seem to not really be using it. Am I right on this, Prisoner? I mean, it's back to the tech geeks with a few. I got challenged. Go ahead.
I got challenged by that the other day. I made an assertion very much like that. I said, seems like all the people who were here left. And someone said, well, can you give me numbers on that? I'm like, no, I can't give, I don't have centralized stats. Although I think we did cover on the show a few weeks ago something along those lines. But when I went and looked at my circles, I have a circle that's dedicated to, it happens to be the 24 people who are very good friends of mine. We're talking all the time on Facebook. In some cases, we're talking all the time in real life. I went and looked at the posts from that circle, and I only found about 6 people had posted anything within the previous week. And within the previous week accounted for 20 messages. It was the default set of messages that you see when you click on a circle. So 7 people, 20 messages out in 7 days. You got to wonder what happened to the rest. What happened to everyone else? And I mean, I know they're still alive. I talk to them all the time on Facebook. So there's a bit of anecdotal evidence that people just aren't staying around. And I don't think Google's given them a compelling reason to stay around. And until Google does, honestly, the system, it's kind of aiming towards doom. I'll go out on a limb and say that.
I think it's a great place for male geeks to talk about male geek stuff. I would like to see it expand beyond that, and I don't know what it is because Prisoner. But remember MySpace, right? It was young people mainly, but adults typically. A few, some of my friends were on it. I was on it because I'm a geek. I was on everything. I think I have an Orkut account, which I've used like twice. But the reason, I went to Orkut and it was a bunch of nice Brazilian people, and I just didn't know anybody, so I didn't hang out.
I was on Orkut when it first opened up when you still had to have an invitation to get into it. I was on Orkut. The same 24 friends of mine, we all signed up on Orkut, and all of us were gone within a week. And the reason why is because there was nothing new, there was nothing compelling, there was no reason for us being there, and on top of that, the user interface was horrible. Same thing with Wave. When Wave started up, we knew enough people inside Google that we were able to get invitations, and once we got invitations, we invited the rest of us. Same 20 or so people joined Wave. We tested it out for about 6 hours, and after that we said, this user interface stinks. It's next to impossible to do anything that we want to do, and why would we want to be here? And a couple of us hung around a little bit longer, trying to really understand it. And there were a lot of really nice technology behind Wave, but it couldn't get the social community. It didn't have the social aspect to it, really. Now that we're coming over here, again, we're seeing there's a lot of great infrastructure, a lot underneath it. But if the only thing that it does is appeal to geeks, it's going to be a failure in Google's mind. Google has always tried to create something that appealed to everyone. Google search appealed to everybody. That was what was great about it over the previous search engines that came before it. You could find anything on Google. You didn't just find technology stuff. As Google introduced and incorporated things like Blogger and Picasa, Google Mail was just, it was great because it brought a lot of power to people using it, and you didn't have to be a geek to understand it. If essentially they're writing off Google Plus to leave it to the geeks, so what? There's nothing new here for the geeks either. The geeks are going to go to diaspora. We've got a lot of people talking in the chat forum right now. Who is it? Linux Cool Dude says, but how about the non-geeks? Do they really want to go on Google Plus? That's the important question. And I think that's the same question I've got as well. Except
there's nothing wrong with a niche. It's like we have our own little online TV network with Leo Laporte and some incredibly awesome shows that really get into niche stuff, and a few non-tech things like This Week in Law, which is kind of, I think, the only one that totally branches off from tech. But they'll typically talk about, law, technical legal cases. But there's still a market for it. I mean, but do you think
sure, there's a market for it, but
do you think they jumped the gun in going beta and opening it up when it really wasn't ready for prime time, and then a bunch of people tried it and didn't find much, and it's going to be hard to get them to try it again and say, wait, try it again for the first time again, in a year when it's better and it's open?
Well, I think they've come out and it's two things. It's a bunch of things there. The first is I think they expected a lot more private traffic than they got. They were really expecting there to be a couple of public posts, but most of all, people were just going to be doing things privately. And honestly, a lot of people that I met, that's what appealed. That's what Google Plus's appeal was. That's why I joined it, because I said, "Oh, hey, I can release information to some people and hide it from others. I can share pictures of my kids without, having to worry about everyone else looking at them." I thought this was great. But, you had the problem of getting the people over there. Okay. And then you had the...
Go ahead. Let me get... we had some callers drop and they come back. 512 area code. Is that Scott?
Yeah, it looks like I'm going to drop it. I got to disappear.
Oh, okay. All right, and then let's see, 512 area code. Who's that?
Yeah, it's Scott Swain.
Okay, Scott, what do you think? Are you seeing?
No. I came over here from Facebook, and I still have my Facebook thing going. I have about 780 Facebook friends, and about 250 of them that I know of, out of my friend groups, came over to Google Plus, and I'm seeing great private conversations, and I'm seeing great public conversations, and I'm seeing, I have a lot of circles. I've got circles for film, food, music, all martial arts, all kinds of stuff that's not tech-oriented, and I'm seeing a lot of discussion in all those areas, and I'm seeing it growing, and I see the stream moving along, and it kind of So when people, I don't know, he said something about 24 people. I don't know if that's his, but also I'm assuming he's got more people in his circle that he actually tries to listen to. It just sounds like a small test number. Like how could any one person, base their opinions, these opinions that prisoner, with respect, prisoner, I don't want to disrespect you at all. I'm just wondering how you can make general statements about the health of Google, and if it's decreasing or something like that, or it's not catching on, based on
he actually signed off, but I agree with him, so I'll defend his point, which, we agree with each other. I remember at first it was the first adopters, right? It was initially the real first, the Scoble, the Dvorak, the Laporte. And then it was guys like us who got in. Okay. And then we were like, oh, this is so awesome. And almost all the posts were about how awesome Google Plus was. Okay? It was just a big incestuous love fest. And then it got on the news, right, on the TV. And then people started trying it. And then I saw just, I would see folks, a smattering. Nothing. I have, I don't know how many hundreds of people I know on Facebook. I don't know, hundreds, but maybe 30 are on here. And I think it's still under 10%. It may be under 5%. Of the user base that Facebook has. So it's like, and I see a lot of them, they post a little bit at first. Oh, this is cool. Google Plus, I like it, blah, blah, blah. And then maybe a few days later they post, and then now it's been a couple weeks or a week and they haven't posted anything. So I see it too. It's just, I'm not sure, but it's still in closed beta technically, right? But I think...
So you're
Go ahead. Sorry. Hit me. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you just made a good point. It's in closed beta. But also, you just mentioned 30 people from Facebook came over that are in your Facebook friends.
Correct.
Right?
Out of 500 or something, yeah.
Right. And see, what I saw is between 200 and 230. I just now went and looked over at my circles. So an estimate of 200, because I got 277... Oh, no, that have me in circle. Okay, so in my circle, 349. So I'm guessing about at least 250 of those are from Facebook that came over, either coincidentally or I urged 780-something people to come. And I'm seeing a lot of conversations from these same people. I'm seeing actually dual posts now since I look over at Facebook too. So I'm seeing, 10 times the number, almost 10 times the number that you and prisoner are seeing, just from my experience. So this goes to show we all have these different experiences, and if you guys are judging based on, I only had 30 friends come over, and they're not really, out of those 30, only a few are posting anything. I don't know, it just doesn't seem like a big enough amount of data to base any kind of opinion on. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the saying, opinions are... Everyone has one. Who is 604-440 area code? Let me bring you in.
Yo mama.
Oh, Bowie. All right, we got Bowie. He told me to use a new picture of him, so here we go. What do you think? Are you seeing a bunch of people from Facebook on here, or do you think that that's kind of died down and it's back to the techno geeks?
Can you get back to me in 2 minutes? I'm just saying something right now.
All right. Let me mute you again. All right, he's recovering from a dramatic earthquake in Vancouver, which was 6-point-something, he said. All right, next up, the name game. It's a shame Prisoner's not here. I'm sure he'd want to harp on this. We got a good point in the chat room. I still have Facebook because that's where most of my friends and family are. One of my friends who's in a young demographic has reservations about going somewhere new. He uses Twitter to make posts to people either not on Facebook or, what would be... I don't know, Anthony Klauser, what do you think? What do you think about the whole pseudonym thing? There's a raging controversy about that, especially on this show. They, It just won't die because we have folks on here who have gone through this big hassle over this. What do you think, Anthony?
Like I said 2 weeks ago on the show, I don't have a problem with them enforcing this your name policy, but I think that Google needs to figure out what they're doing, because it seems like they're hitting a lot of people that are like 100% legitimately using real names and still being flagged, and then they deal with Google about it, and they think that they have the problem fixed, and then a day later or whatever, what have you, Google comes back and hits them again with a saying that it's not their real name, and they go and show them something like the license, the U.S. state license, which should be plenty of proof that it's the real name with their picture, and I think that's what the big issue. At least that's my big issue with it, is that they're incorrectly flagging people for it.
What do you think? Let me bring in, let me see who's still with us here. Tristan, what do you think about it? I ask you this every week, and I think you say, I don't know, I don't care. What do you think, Tristan?
About the same. I don't really care if you can choose to use your real name, go for it. If you want to use it, yes. I think everyone has a right to, even though it's policy that you can't.
Boy, you for a while there, you sounded like someone who'd lost their vocal cords and had one of those boxes or something. Okay, let's go to. Let me try Bowie again. See if he's. Bowie, you there?
I am here. What's going on?
You have any update on the pseudonym controversy, the drama? What do you think?
No, I don't know why people are still talking about it. It's old news. Get over it, I think. It's a big deal. Why does everyone want to keep talking about it?
Well, because they've been kicked off, and they I guess what is it? One guy, I guess it was Prisoner, who probably, I don't know if Prisoner's back with us.
I'm back.
Oh, okay. Did you put these links? You want to give us a quick brief on this? Let me figure out who's. Okay, yeah, Bowie's. I had to mute Bowie again. He's got the parakeet noise behind him.
I'll tell you the basics about why we're
rundown. Go ahead, Prisoner. Give us a rundown on these links here.
First of all, let me answer Bowie, and let me address the guys that are talking about it in the chat room. The reason why we still talk about it, trust me, we would love for it to die already, but we really want our names. It's really getting tiring having to be on there with a false identity. But yeah, the really kicker one this week was Hugh Messenger has now been using a pseudonym for about a week and a half. And the reason why he's using a pseudonym is because they won't let him use his real name, insisting that it's not his name, even after he sent in a copy of his driver's license. About 2 days ago, the head of Google Plus Engineering wrote him a message saying, "Okay, we've kicked the server. You may still experience some problems, but we're watching it carefully if you do, and we promise we'll help you resolve this issue if you do have problems." That was 2 days ago. Today he wrote back saying, "Well, I still have the problem, and now I've discovered that my Gmail is going out under the pseudonym, which is not what I want." So he's a little miffed about the whole deal.
Well,
and I've provided two links.
But it's a technical issue. Obviously, if the Google engineering guy has acknowledged the issue, there's a glitch, obviously. And then, but Hugh Messenger, you have to acknowledge that it wouldn't be unusual for someone to assume that was not a real name. You know what I mean?
Well, here's the thing. Again, there are a bunch of issues behind this. The first is, so what? It's not up to Google to figure out what a legal name is. It's up to the person with the name. In fact, if you look at the recommended user list, or their suggested user list, they've got a name on there who they had banned for a whole week because they didn't know that it was a real name. Google's algorithms for figuring out real names aren't working. And they've been demonstrated time and again to not work. So instead, Google keeps plowing ahead with the assumption that there's something good about what they're doing, and nobody's been able to demonstrate that yet.
All right, and then I guess the New York Times weighed in a not unusual, sarcastic way. What was their take on it?
It was actually a pretty good article. I recommend people read it. Their basic take on it is that the whole name deal is a mess, and Google should stop trying to figure out what real names are. I mean, this is only the latest in major publications. I mean, last week we talked about Gartner, who said essentially the same thing.
Is Bowie, are you back? You want to weigh in on this? Let me try to get him back here.
I think this one kind of so much more deeper reasoning behind all of it. Like, I could pretty much come up with one big, pretty good conspiracy theory, but I'm not too keen on throwing that out right now.
I don't think we need a conspiracy theory. Eric Schmidt has told us exactly why they think they want real names.
Why was that?
Well, I can quote him. Quote, "The internet would be better if we had an accurate notion that you were a real person as opposed to a dog or a fake person or a spammer."
Oh.
That's a quote from him.
Yeah, I think it's a different reason though. Like I think that's just a cover. That's just a cover story. I think it's a deeper reasoning behind it.
Bowie, are you saying what some of the theories are, that it's about monetization, that it's worth more if you can attach ads even more specifically than knowing what games you play or what search terms you've used, but to actually tie it to your name and perhaps your credit history or past purchases, tie it in with what you buy at Kroger or Food Lion and that whole deal. I mean, if it's your real name, there's you can tie all sorts of information to it. That's one theory popping around. Do you think is that what you're suggesting?
No, what I think, you have to understand where they're coming from. They're programmers, so they think in a totally different way. Their mindset's much more different than how we think. When we see, I don't know, a simple problem, they see it. They see an equation and a way to solve it, right? I believe that they've been quoted saying that their main goal with Google is to download every single web page there is on the internet. Right? Now, I think it's more valuable. I think there's a fire going on around here. Huh. Anyways, I think it's more valuable if they had as much information as possible and as accurate as possible. Right? It's much more valuable to them. It may not be a monetary value. It may just be, it's a personal goal. I don't know. I'm rambling now.
All right, that's prisoner's job. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I did a pretty good job rambling before. I know that.
You're good. I love it when you call, because I can just if I got to go, go to the potty or something, I can just put it on you. Man, you're loud. Oh my God. Bowie, I swear to God, it sounds like the earthquake is you're reenacting it. We're going to take up a collection to raise money to buy Bowie a landline. So I have to get my earplugs fixed. Anthony, any final thoughts as we get ready to conclude this final Google Plus week?
No.
You still use it? How often do you use it? Is it your favorite social network?
I post to Google Plus every time they put up a status update. It goes to Google Plus, and I would say between 30 and 40% of my posts that go to Google Plus that show up on Facebook. So I definitely use it a lot more than Facebook.
Okay. Tristan, any final thoughts for this week?
No. I'm good.
I appreciate you calling in. All right. Scott Swain. Scott Swain, any final thoughts this week?
No, thanks, Dan. I mean, I was just talking in the chat room about Eric Schmidt, who we're seeing as being sometimes the face of Google, and I don't think he's serving Google very well as, in any way, like from what he says to how he looks to how he acts. I don't think he's inspiring trust or love for Google. As if you can love a company, but face it, I mean, we judge books by their cover, and
I think that's a bum rap. I like it. I like watching him talk.
Really?
And I don't. Yeah, I think is it that you don't like the messenger or you don't like the message, and so you're blaming the messenger. You don't agree with him, so you.
I don't like. I'll
don't
admit
think
to
he's
you, I
effective?
don't like the messenger. I don't think he's an effective speaker. I think he appeals to the geek. Maybe appeals to the geeks more than anybody else, and as Prisoner was saying, that's, I would say that's not what we need. We need somebody that will appeal to a wider range of people and can, I don't know, when I see him, I don't see somebody who really relates to people well. But I haven't heard him talk a whole lot, so maybe I just saw him on a bad day. Maybe I need to look more and whatever, but I don't see him as being a charismatic. Yeah, I mean, compared to somebody like Steve Jobs, I can't really think of anybody else right now, but that's in a similar situation. But he just doesn't seem to have the charisma that I would want if I was if I was somebody at Google who could make these kind of decisions. It wouldn't be putting him up there to speak for the company.
What do you final thoughts, Prisoner? You think this is a bum rap, or you think they need to just stick him in the back room somewhere with his charts and graphs, and he can appear on like Fox Business or CNBC when they do one of those roundtables off of prime time? What do you think?
Well, I look at it this way: Larry Page has a Google Plus account. Sergey Brin has a Google Plus account. Eric Schmidt does not have a Google Plus account.
That's
I think
interesting.
that says it
I had
all.
never noticed that, but you're right. Why the hell wouldn't he have a Google Plus account? And it's not like Larry and Sergey are all publicity hounds. They're not. That's interesting. Yeah, that's a very interesting observation that he doesn't have it. Huh? Maybe I don't know. I think he's a talented CEO. I mean, there's no denying Google's done well.
He was a talented CEO. He's not the CEO anymore.
Correct. He was, and someone here said, which is why he's no longer CEO. No, he's no longer CEO because one of the guys who owns a lot of the company decided he wanted to be CEO, so he's not CEO now. But it's interesting. Yeah, I think. I mean, it's doing well. They're really. It's interesting to me that they had a business guy running it, and then they went with an engineer now, right? After 10 years of the business, of the experienced CEO type guy running it, Schmidt, and now they've gone with the engineer, the innovative, creative guy. But what's so interesting to me is that now that the typical business CEO guy is not running it, and the engineer's back in, that they're making all these cuts of these things, and they're sort of focusing more on the bottom line of being profitable now than in the past. It just seems like the opposite of what I would have expected. What do you think, Prisoner? Is that am I right, or what do you think? Do you agree with that?
It is surprising. I think at least some of that, though, is you have to remember Eric is still there. He's still on the executive team, and you have to realize a lot of what we're seeing now has been planned for a while. It's not like Google Plus suddenly sprung up out of nowhere. They've been allocating resources to this effort for a very long time before we saw anything, and some of that was under Schmidt's watch. And I'm sure that some of the reason why we're seeing things being closed now is to pay for that.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we'll see. All right, well, we got to wrap it up. I want to thank Prisoner, who's always awesome. He does a great job helping us prep for the show. And don't forget, our thing is always there our document, and when we post this episode, I'll have the document open for next week. So anytime during the next week, you can add a topic or add yourself as a guest. So I want to thank Prisoner, who does such a terrific job making time with us every week. Also, Scott Swain, another real contributor to the show. Thank you so very much for calling in and helping us like you always do. Brad, our newest, one of our newest guys, he does Tech Webcast out of Australia, and it's 12 hours ahead. But he is, it's like, I guess, noon there almost, right? Or about 11 a.m. over there. And I'm going to be on his show next week. And he's been calling in. I think he's awesome. He's a real nice guy, real good guy, and he does his show. It's interesting. Look for it, Tech Webcast. And then one of his associates from Florida, Jacob Jones, called in. I appreciate that. Bowie. He told me not to use his picture, but I got to pick on Bowie because he picks on me. And Tristan Gilbert. Next time you see Bowie, ask him what's shaking, because they just said I shouldn't make a joke about earthquake, right? 6.7 especially, but we just had one and it was kind of underwhelming, and everyone on the West Coast is laughing at us for freaking out, but it was more because, like, what the hell, we don't have earthquakes here, why are we having an earthquake? It wasn't like we were running for the doorways. But anyway, there's Bowie, who's taking it in stride, and then Tristan Gilbert, thank you so much for calling in again, we appreciate it. And also Anthony is it Klauser? C-L-A, am I pronouncing that right, Klauser?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Yep. Thank you. What state are you in, Anthony?
New York.
New York. Yeah, you guys had a little earthquake yourselves, and you've had some bad weather. I'm excited because the sun was shining. We have, we were all worried because there's a big air show happening tomorrow. And as you know, as most of you know, I own newspapers, and we had the giant air show, and they bought these full-page ads in 2 of my newspapers. And the sales lady called me up. She's like, "Oh my God, I think it's gonna rain." And they bought all these ads. I was like, "Oh, we'll call the weatherman. I'll put in a good word." And so we lucked out. So it's gonna be a nice sunny day. So we'll all be headed down there to watch the airplanes do their thing. Hey, I appreciate everyone who called in, and our wonderful chat room, which is so interesting and sometimes more interesting than the show. It's really, they get hot and heavy in there sometimes. And appreciate all the folks who watch it after the fact. We do this every Friday live at 8 p.m. At justin.tv/Dan McDermott, and then we load them on YouTube, and then they get thousands of views after that. And then also do a show Monday through Thursday, McDermott Report, where we do more news of the day, news and politics. Not so much technical, but if there's tech news, we'll cover that too, because a lot of our audience is technically oriented. Anyway, I am Dan McDermott. I thank everyone for watching or calling or listening on Blog Talk Radio or iTunes. Thank you so much, and I will see you next week for Google Plus Week right here.